welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be going over doing looks with the Chanel Tweed palettes here. I have a small confession to make. I purchased these right when they launched. I mean, I refreshed my email over and over, refreshed the Chanel website, waiting for these to launch because I was afraid they were gonna sell out in like 30 minutes. I bought these and then I had them just sit there while I stared at them because I was too afraid to use them. So I decided that ends today. We're going to be doing looks with these palettes. I'm gonna be going over details and swatches. So if that sounds good to you, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't yet, and let's get started talking about all the details of these Chanel palettes. So I know a lot of videos are out on these already. They're not new, but they're still new to me. I still wanted to give them a shot. I'm going to just talk about these directly from the Chanel website. That's where I purchased mine, on the Chanel France website. So these do retail for 78 euros. That's what I paid for them. I believe I saw that on the US site, they retail for 88 US dollars. On the website here, talking about the palettes, it says, just as Mademoiselle borrowed tweed from men's equestrian style for her iconic jacket, which liberated women by facilitating their movements, Chanel drew inspiration from the signature fabric to dress the eyes with limited edition palettes. The Cat Tweed eyeshadows are embossed with a woven fabric design, and each color harmony is nestled inside a matching tweed pouch. Every exclusive pouch is unique, expertly crafted by La Maison Lesage Embroidery House, one of the Chanel métiers d'art. So each palette does come with its own unique pouch here. So you have three, I have three of the four. Here are the three, what they look like. And then the inside does have the Chanel logo, so you can see that it's not just like made in China. I mean, maybe it is, but it has the Chanel logo on the inside there. Very well thought out. I love every single detail of this collection. I think Chanel really knocked it out of the park. Reading more from the website, it says, 4 timeless collector's edition creations, rich and densely pigmented warm shades in matte, satin, and metallic finishes for luminous looks that range from subtle to sophisticated. So let's just quickly go over each palette that I have. I'm going to insert in some swatches. The first one that I have is the Cuivre, which is a selection of organic tones, pearly brownish purple and deep browns with a gold, bronze, or copper shimmer. The next one that I have is the Tweed Pourpre, a bold offering of luminous peachy pink, old rose, and iridescent golden mauve, accentuated by an intense plum. And the last one is the Brun et Rose, an assortment of browns and pinkish beiges, chocolate brown, rosy platinum, and icy brown shades are illuminated by a delicate dusty rose. So that's just a little bit about each of these palettes. If you do go on the Chanel website, just as a little tidbit of information, they do go over each palette and how they intended the look to come out. So if you want like a more step-by-step, like step 1, apply this shade in the crease, Chanel does have that on their website, as well as videos, which I kind of thought was a little bit cool. Yes, makeup is free-ranging. You can do it however you want, but it's kind of nice to see them really go into depth and give like very specific eye looks. I just kind of enjoyed that. It doesn't mean you're stuck in a box to do that look, but I thought it was cool. I just wanted to point that out. So now that we've gone over more details, you've seen swatches of these, I'm gonna pull you in a little bit closer, and I'm going to be doing one look with each palette. And then after that, I'll be just kind of recapping and talking about my final thoughts. But let's just get started and get into look number 1. Let's start with look number 1. So I want to start look number 1 with the one that I'm most excited with. That is number 4, Brun et Rose. So that is what this one is right here. And I'm just going to do these looks like I would if I didn't have anyone watching. They're going to be very simple, very easy. I feel like that's the aesthetic that Chanel goes for. So it's not going to be anything overly complicated. I'm going to put this one in the crease here, I think, deepen the crease with this. We'll use this dark brown one as liner, and then this kind of all over the lid to brighten. So let's just start Dip in here and we're gonna go. I didn't necessarily prime my lids with any sort of primer. I just have concealer down, and then I did powder because my lids can get a little bit creasy as they're slightly hooded. But we're gonna lay this one down as kind of the base shade. I'm also just gonna take a smaller brush and do the lower lash line while I'm at it. This first shade is really nice so far. I was obsessed with MAC Wedge for a little while, and it's kind of giving me that vibe, just like a cool tone brown color. I like this a lot. Let's now deepen up the crease. I'm just going to take a smaller brush. I mostly do this because, as I mentioned, I have slightly hooded eyes, so I try to just define the crease as much as possible, but don't take my advice as the rules because I am not a makeup artist at all. I just taught myself and I do what works for me. But at the end of the day, makeup's supposed to be fun. So I try not to take it too seriously. I'm just saying I'm not the best as far as tutorials go. Gonna also bring this shade down just a little. Perfect. Now I'm gonna take that lightest shade with my finger and just really mess up that tweed. That hurts my heart. And just go over the lid here. I really like this. This is so pretty. Everything I love. Okay, let's do liner real quick. If I can manage to do this on camera here. It's gonna take me a little bit of trial and error for doing eye looks, so please bear with me. If you have any tips, leave them in the comments. I always appreciate that. I added that darkest shade just to my lash line, deepen that up a little bit, nothing too dramatic. Again, this is exactly what I would wear if I was doing this on my own at home. So here is look number 1. Let's do look number 2 and I'll apply mascara to both eyes afterwards. For look number 2, I think we're gonna go in with this one. This is the number 2 Tweed Pourpre, which I know I'm butchering. I have an American accent despite being French. Blame my mother, I don't know what to tell you. But this is the purple palette, and I think we'll use this kind of just all over the lid, deepen up the crease with this and this, kind of a mix of both, and then use that one as liner. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Let's see kind of what we come up with. So again, I'm just gonna dip into that lightest shade, but this one, instead of just putting it in the crease, we're gonna put it more just all over the lid. Also kind of just have this be like the primary lid shade. This one off the bat is more hard pressed. It's not laying down as easily as the first one that I did. It's just not picking up as much pigment. And that's fine because this one is one of the more brighter palettes. So I was a little bit worried that it would just be too colorful for me, but it's very subdued right now. I mean, I'm like dipping and dipping and dipping into this. I've put like 7 layers on. All right, I think I've gotten as much as I'm gonna get out of this color. I've put like 7 layers on so far. So it's just very light despite what it looks like. I'm gonna do the lower lash line while I'm at this color. Being that this color is so light, I think now going into the second medium one, it'll be okay to kind of use all 4 because the 2 corner ones here, this one and this one, although they look different on camera, in person, they seem very similar, so I was kind of wondering how that was gonna work. But now that I know that this first shade is just so light, we might be okay here. So I'm gonna be a little bit more haphazard with this lighter shade, the second lightest shade. I'm gonna cover this like almost the outer third, almost to the outer half here, because we're gonna use that third shade to deepen it up. This is very light just in comparison to what I was thinking it was going to be, and that's no complaints. I'm actually liking it better than I thought. I'm gonna go back in with this big fluffy brush and just kind of blend out that first lightest shade with that shade we just laid down. Now I'm gonna take this one and we're gonna deepen up the crease. We're gonna see how dark that is, because you wouldn't expect this one to give that result. I feel like it's a lot lighter than you would expect. So now we're just gonna try and add some depth right here. Okay, this third shade is finally giving me purple vibes. That was my dog. She usually doesn't sit in here when I'm filming, but I brought my comforter in here because I thought maybe she'd finally come in here. She's not a super big snuggler, and she is, and now she's just making herself known. That was cute. Here's what the purple's looking like so far. I think I'm just gonna go in with my finger and kind of go over the lid. I just like a brighter lid. I feel like it opens my lids up a little bit more. There we go. And now I'm going to go into this shade and we're going to just lightly line my lash line and make it look a little bit thicker. For me, I just do it very lightly for a little bit of definition to make my lashes look thicker. I don't want my eyes to look too closed off, so I don't really go heavy-handed with liner. Okay, here we have it, look number 2. I'm actually a lot happier with it than I thought I was going to be. Let me just apply mascara and come back and show you the final look for both of these. Mascara is on. This is what they are both looking like. I like both of them. I mean, I gravitate towards the Brun and Rose just as an everyday, but I'm not hating the purple. It's a lot just more subdued and elegant than I was expecting. I think we're just very used to, if it's purple, it's like a bright in-your-face purple, and that's really not this. I'm gonna put my glasses on just so you can see, if you wear glasses, what they're going to look like. Granted, my glasses are fairly large, so if you wear smaller glasses, you won't see shadow as much. That's gonna complete look 1 and 2. I'm gonna take all this off and we're gonna do the third and final look. On to the third and final look. We're gonna use this palette here. I thought it would go well with my yellow sweater. So this is the Tweed Cuivre, which again, I know I'm butchering, I'm sorry, but I have an American accent. I am going to, I think, try and do like more of a halo eye. So we're gonna kind of lay down this shade, put this like more antique gold on the inner and outer corners, and then use this to spotlight and this very dark one as liner, just to switch it up a little bit. So that's the plan right now. Let's get started. Picking up that medium brown shade, and let's do this eye on camera. Just gonna kind of place this all over the lid, into the crease as a baseline. Overall, if anything, all these shades are lighter on the eye than they appear in the pan, so don't be discouraged if they look a lot darker in the pan. They come across so much lighter. We're always just talking about pigment and how something needs to be very pigmented, so I automatically off the bat, if I see a dark color, just assume it's going to be very pigmented and hard to work with, but all of these show up a little bit lighter. If you have darker skin, a deeper skin tone, I'm not sure how it's going to show up on you, but they are lighter on the eye than they appear in pan. That's just a note. I'm going to take that same medium brown, apply it to the lower lash line. So now I'm gonna take just a smaller, denser brush, not too wispy. I usually really like wispy brushes, but this one's gonna be a little bit more dense. I'm gonna go into this and apply it to the outer corner and the inner corner. And I just want to really be precise with where I'm placing this. That's why I'm doing a little bit stiffer. The shade is not picking up very well. Kind of reminds me of that really light one in the purple. It's just not really showing up like I want it to. I just complained about palettes being too pigmented, and now I'm saying this one's not pigmented enough. I understand the hypocrisy. I'm just gonna try it with my finger and see if that kind of gives it a little bit more. Yeah, that's better. Because this is more of a shimmer, you kind of just need your finger to pick that up. All right, and then now I'm gonna go in with the light gold and just spotlight down the center. Okay, perfect, exactly what I wanted. Let's take this very dark shade and just lightly line my lash line. I know I'm very repetitive, but when you find an eye look that works, you stick with it. So just really closely to the lash line. And then I'm also just gonna lightly do this on the lower lash line as well. This dark brown is pigmented because my eye's watering a little bit in the corner and then I just flicked it up way too much. Don't necessarily love that. I take this big fluffy brush, just try and blend that out a little bit that we used on the crease. The liner got a little bit out of hand because my eyes were watering, but we're gonna roll with it, continue on. Here is the third look. And I'm gonna quickly just do the other eye, apply some mascara, and I'll be back to still show you an up close view of look number 3. But let me do that real fast and I'll be back. I've got both eyes completed and mascara on. Here is the final look. I did get a little bit of fallout with this gold shade. Out of all 3 palettes, that was the only one, just a teeny tiny bit, but I wanted to point that out because it was the only shade out of 4, 8, 12 shades that had fallout. But I'm going to put my glasses on so you can see the completed. I'm not loving the really dark under eye, but that's more just user error, not the palette. Unfortunately, I cannot control when my eyes decide to just water like that. Here is the third and final look. I'm going to put my hair down, zoom you guys out, and we're going to just recap my final thoughts on these 3 Chanel Tweed palettes. So what do I think of these 3 palettes? I love them. I'm so happy I purchased them. I think Chanel finally is understanding what its customer base wants out of their makeup line. They want something that feels very Chanel and isn't just makeup. You know, Chanel has a lot of makeup products. They have blushes, they have eyeshadows, lip products, quite a bit, but I don't just want a blush that has the Chanel logo. Like, I don't want that. I can get a blush anywhere. There's great drugstore blushes. There's great high-end blushes. If I'm going to make the investment and purchase a Chanel blush, I want it to feel special. And that's what they did with these palettes. Of course, the number 4 Brun A Rose is my favorite. I am considering buying a backup, which hurts my heart because these are $88. They're very expensive. It also breaks my cardinal rule of not buying backup products, but this is just so special that I might make an exception for it. I'm also just pleasantly surprised with the Cuivre. I was on the fence of purchasing this and I bought it last minute as FOMO on a whim because I didn't want to miss out. And I'm happy with the look that I got. I don't necessarily gravitate towards warm toned eyeshadow looks, and that's why I was just like, should I get this one? I don't know, but I didn't want to miss out, so I ended up grabbing it, and I'm glad that I did. The purple one is also fantastic. I love purple. I think that the look that I came up with was really just pretty and subdued. I liked that a lot. I was expecting just a more pigmented shadow, kind of like the Michaela eyeshadow palette comes to mind, just like how those are those bright, vibrant purples. And this is not it. This is just a purple that's daytime appropriate, evening appropriate. It's really just going to enhance natural features without making it all about the eyeshadow. And some people love that. That's their journey. I'm happy for them. If they can make those beautiful eyeshadow looks, I am jealous. I am not one of those people. But for me, this is purple done right. I will be using this all the time. This palette, though, is the most hard pressed out of all three that I have. I can't speak for the fourth one. I don't know how hard pressed it is. However, the formula is not uniform across the board. So keep that in mind. I would say out of all of them, the purple is the most hard pressed. Then the Cuivre has about 50-50 hard pressed and kind of just soft pressed, whereas the Brun and Rose has the best formula. Again, just best shades, best formula. This is the one I would recommend if you can only get one of them. So that's just my thoughts on these palettes. Let me know down below, do you plan on picking any of them up? Are you trying to resist picking them up? Have you already picked them up? Let me also just know what you thought of my eye looks. It was something that I'm trying to get better at that. And I think that's where I'm gonna leave you all. We're gonna keep my final thoughts just short and brief. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.